Hello, and welcome to Vlogtober day 24. Man, the end is in sight, which kind of sad about. Anyway, I've been boxing tonight, so I'm a bit hot and sweaty. I'm not able to go for for weeks and weeks and weeks because I injured my wrist in a boxing match that I did for charity. So today's video, I saw, as I do most days, reading the news, and there's going to be, or very likely to be, a general election in a very fucked up fashion. It's Boris being Boris and the Tories being Tories. Certainly not a party I would ever support. But I think I'm probably in quite a large group of people where I feel politically homeless at the moment. So from 2015 to 2019, I was an active campaigning member of the Labour Party. So I used to go door to door and stalls and stuff like that. And yeah, I left earlier this year. In all political parties, there's always going to be problems and stuff like that. Labour, for me, the problems are quite systemic at the moment. On a more generalised level, in my observation, it's not a party that's run particularly well. It's not a party that responds to things effectively. It's a party there's no concept of optics on a political scale. If you look at recently, kind of the past 2 months, like all the elections are all women, and then there's also quite a few ethnic minorities in there. So they don't view that as a problem. There's a big incident earlier in the year where Theresa May called in all the party leaders to discuss Brexit, try and get a deal through, and because Chuck Romano was there, Jeremy Corbyn refused to attend. It's like, no, I'm not coming to it. I'm not coming to it. And that was kind of a watershed moment for me, in that this is the greatest crisis. Currently, we have the greatest political crisis since World War II facing this country, probably. It's something that will shape our country for decades to come. As I've said before, EU membership is quite nuanced. It's not just bad, and it's not just good either. So generally speaking, I get quite frustrated that when you look on social media or look on the news, it's just the two divisive voices that have the biggest platform. You've got people like Farage saying it's the worst thing ever. This is an extension of what bloody Nazi Germany is, I feel like he's fundamentally saying. Then you've got people like Femi and Joe Monaghan who just say, it's the best thing in the world, we shouldn't be leaving. And actually it's not. Again, it's quite a nuanced thing. And immigration as well. Immigration has gone into working class communities, and it's certainly changed working class communities. Certainly where I grew up, that is now an area, it's unrecognisable to when I grew up. Aesthetically, it's not what it was. There'll be a number of complicated reasons behind that, but I know if I lived there, and I'd lived there for 30 years and I was in my 60s, or if I lived there for 40 years and I was 60s, I'd look around and I'd say, well, why has this all gone to rack and ruin? And obviously the most obvious answer, and part of that answer in fact, will be immigration, and that relates to, not in full, but it relates to EU membership. I mean, I think fundamentally what I'm trying to say, I've waffled a bit there, but there's things for the EU membership, definitely, and there's things against EU membership. And I think ironically, maybe both of those things affect the working classes the most. Anyway, it's certainly the biggest, I waffle, but it's certainly the biggest crisis we've faced. So Theresa May kind of called a meeting, and Jeremy refused to attend because Chuka was there. I can understand entirely why Jeremy Corbyn would dislike Chuka Romano. I think Chuka Romano tried to undermine him, undermine his position, left with the view of setting up something that would be a direct challenge to Labour Party, failed miserably with Change UK. I actually also think if Chuck Romano was the leader of the Labour Party, I think he'd have beat Theresa May in the last election. personally. I actually don't think Dreamer would have called that election. Moot points. But yeah, and that was kind of the final straw for me of he can't put his petty differences aside for the national interest. And undoubtedly that meeting with Theresa May was brinkmanship, and I'm sure in reality they all knew that nothing would come of it. But again, it's about that concept of optics. It's about that concept of how will this be perceived by society as a whole and wider society. And if the senior leadership of the Labour Party can't see that and can't understand that, how can you expect them to run a country? Now, obviously, I don't want the Tory party to run the country. I would like the policies of the Labour Party to be implemented, but the head of the Labour Party, Jeremy, Len McCluskey, who I really don't like, Seamus Milne, there's some other guy, I can't remember. I want to say Peter Thatcher. No, it's not Peter Thatcher. But there's some other guy as well, and they're all kind of wealthy socialists, champagne socialists, and I can understand fully, being a working class person myself, I can see why people would look at that and just think, you don't know what working class people really need or what working class people really want. And it's another issue. I think there's not enough working class voices at the top tier of the Labour Party. I think there needs to be maybe some kind of people's assembly within it. I don't know. I know it's meant to be like this people's charter and stuff like that, but it's not. I think when you start getting into it and understand the mechanics of it, you'll realise it's not as well. So I can't vote Tory. I can't vote Labour. Lib Dems is, I think Lib Dems have just kind of like stepped into the more centre ground that the Tory party were in like 2010. So they've gone back into coalition politics. They voted on some NHS, abstained on some NHS privatisation bill the other day, and it's just like, well, fuck you guys. Even if I was Scottish, I wouldn't vote for the SNP. I'm against nationalism. I don't know anything about Plaid Cymru. So I kind of quite like to vote for the Green Party, but I live in the constituency of Sherwood, so my MP is the Chief Whip, Mark Spencer, who from my perspective is quite an unpleasant Member of Parliament, certainly in terms of immigration, welfare spending, education, policing, health, equality for kind of all ethnicities, LGBTQ rights. He's not a great guy. And also, on a very localised level, he's fucking useless. He's a bit almost like Kim Jong-un in that you go into his Twitter page, it's just like him stood next to pictures. Like someone like has cut into a pot pie and he'll be like, fuck, someone's like opened some new toilet paper. Where I live, there was a few issues. Boring issue. And we asked him to come down. He's like, I don't have time. Like 2 days later, he was like pouring a pint in a pub. Just think, God, you scumbag. So I'm left with the thing of I probably will vote for Labour in the end. I'll probably campaign for Labour because I think my concern of a Boris Johnson government outweighs my concern of a Labour government. But then I still feel a tiny bit dirty in doing that. And another big thing that annoys me is kind of, I feel like politics is a bit dominated by these quite loud voices on social media. Rachel Swindon's a really good one, if she is even a real person. She's really quite unpleasant. She is very, what's the word I'm looking for? She smears a little bit, I think. There's no balance. There's no balance in her discussion, in her points of discussion or anything like that. And if you notice, she says she needs money all the time, and she's got like a GoFundMe page, not just like a page where you can donate how much she needs. So anyway, that's that. Probably first and last political thing I'll do, because I'm probably worried about appearing an idiot. So goodbye and good night. Thank you.